The aroma of freshly cooked food filled the kitchen as you carefully flipped the glass pancake onto the plate. Jungkook's favorite breakfast, pancakes with maple syrup and scrambled eggs. His mother had once mentioned that he loved this meal, and ever since he made sure to prepare it for him every morning, even though he never acknowledged your efforts. You sighed, pushing back a loose strand of hair from your face. Cooking had become a routine, something to keep your mind occupied in this cold, lifeless marriage. You glanced at the clock, 6:55 a.m., your eyes widened. His coffee. Jungkook had a strict habit. He always drank his coffee before breakfast. Without wasting a second, you quickly poured his favorite black coffee into a cup and carefully carried it to his bedroom. Unlike most married couples, you and Jungkook lived in separate rooms. The only time you stayed in his room was when his or your parents visited. Otherwise, he made sure to keep his distance, never letting you step beyond the invisible walls he had built around himself. Standing outside his door, you hesitated before knocking softly. No response. You knocked again, but the silence remained. Biting your lip, you slowly pushed the door open and peeked inside. Empty. You exhaled in relief and stepped inside, placing the coffee cup in his nightstand. As you turned to leave, your eyes caught sight of his slightly wrinkled shirt lying on the chair near his bed. You frowned. Jungkook never liked wearing wrinkled clothes. You knew how particular he was about his appearance. Without thinking much, you walked to the cupboard and took out the iron box. Setting up the ironing board, you carefully began pressing the shirt, smoothing out each wrinkle with gentle hands. If he sees this, maybe he won't even notice, but at least he will know you did something for him. A small, sad smile formed on your lips as you folded the shirt neatly, placing it on the chair. You were about to put the iron box back in the cupboard when a deep, cold voice startled you. What are you doing here? You gasped and turned around too quickly, stumbling backward. The sudden movement made you lose balance and you felt yourself falling until strong hands caught your waist. Your eyes widened as you found yourself in Jungkook's arms, his intense gaze locked onto yours. His dark eyes were unreadable, filled with emotions you could never understand. For a moment, time seemed to freeze. You could hear your heart pounding in your ears, the warmth of his hand seeping through your clothes. But just as suddenly he let go, you out as you landed on the bed with a soft thud, your breath hitching in shock. I told you to not come into my room, he spat, his voice laced with anger. His fists clenched at his sides as he glared at you. Why did you enter without my permission? You swallowed, unable to form words. His sharp gaze made you feel small and unwanted. Jungkook exhaled harshly and ran a frustrated hand through his messy hair. Without another word, he stormed into the bathroom, slamming the door shut behind him. You sat frozen on the bed, your heart heavy. The sound of water running from the shower echoed through the room again. Every time he touched you, even accidentally, he immediately took a shower, as if your mere presence tainted him, as if he needed to wash away the disgust he felt from being close to you. Your throat tightened, but you quickly forced back the tears. You had stopped crying over this a long time ago. It had been 2 years since your marriage, and Jungkook had never once tried to get close to you. He never showed affection, never shared a moment of warmth. Though he never insulted or degraded you, his cold indifference was enough to break your heart every single day. With a deep breath, you stood up and left his room, making your way back to the kitchen. Your hands automatically began cleaning up the breakfast table, but your mind was elsewhere. Why does he act like this? You asked yourself for the millionth time. Does he hate me that much? Tears welled up in your eyes, but you quickly wiped them away. You didn't have the right to feel hurt. You knew from the beginning that this marriage wasn't built on love. Jungkook had saved you and your family's life 2 years ago. A tragic accident had left you. Your parents and your younger brother severely injured. The medical bills had piled up to millions far beyond what your middle class family could afford. Just when all hope seemed lost. Not because he loved you, not because he wanted to marry you, but because his father had asked him to. Your father and Jungkook's father had been old school friends. Seeing your family in such dire circumstances, Jungkook's father had offered help under one condition that you marry Jungkook. You could never say no. How could you? Jungkook has become the reason for you and your family being alive. He had covered all the medical expenses, ensuring you received the best treatment. If marrying him was a price to pay, you had entered this marriage with a small hope. Maybe one day he will change, maybe one day he will see you. But that day never came. Jungkook treated you with distant politeness, nothing more. The only time he reacted strongly was when there was accidental physical contact, as if the mere thought of touching you disgusted him. You took a shaky breath and forced yourself to smile. It's okay, you told yourself. I can bear this. He saved my family. That's all that matters. Yet deep down, a teeny voice whispered, but what about you? What about your happiness? Shaking off the thought, you focused on preparing the table. Jungkook would be out of the shower soon and breakfast had to be ready. Even if he never acknowledged your efforts, even if he never looked at you with love, you would still do this for him because despite everything, your heart still foolishly hold on to hope. As you stood in the kitchen, lost in your thoughts about Jungkook's cold behavior, your phone suddenly rang, making you snap out of your daze. You quickly wiped your tears and cleared your throat before answering the call. Hello, you said, trying to sound normal. Wine? Oh my god, is that really you? A cheerful voice came from the other side. You blinked in surprise. Gia? You gasped. Oh my god, it's been so long. How are you? I'm great. I can't believe I'm finally hearing your voice after 3 years. Gia laughed. How have you been? You forced a smile, though your heart still ached from Jungkook's reaction earlier. I'm good. Just, life is busy. What about you? Busy with my baby on the way? Jia giggled. I'm having my baby shower in 2 days and you have to come. Your heart clenched at the mention of baby. Your friends had moved forward in life. While you were stuck in a loveless marriage, you hesitated. No excuses, one, and bring your husband with you. Everyone is coming with their family, and I really want to see you both. Jia insisted. Your breath hissed at the mention of Jungkook. You didn't know how to respond, but you couldn't refuse. Okay, I'll be there. You said hesitantly. I can't wait. See you soon. Jia said excitedly before hanging up. You sighed heavily, placing the phone down. Your mind was already filled with doubts about Jungkook agreeing to attend. Just then Jungkook came downstairs, dressed impeccably in a suit as usual. His presence was commanding, his sharp jawline and deep eyes making him look effortlessly powerful. You quickly set the breakfast table, placing his favorite dishes in front of him. As he silently ate, you took a deep breath and smoked. Jungkook, I didn't look up. Hmm? My college friend Jia called. She's having a baby shower in 2 days and invited us. I told her we'd come together. Jungkook didn't respond. He simply wiped his mouth with a towel, stood up, and left for his office without a word. Your heart sank. You sat at the dining table, staring at his unfinished breakfast. His silence hurt more than his words. Later in the day, your phone rang again. It was Sarah, another close friend from college. When are you going to come to Gia's baby shower? She asked excitedly. He sighed. I don't think so, Sarah. What? Why not? She asked, clearly disappointed. We are meeting after 3 years. It will be so much fun. Please, Vine, just come. I don't know, you hesitated. Please, Vine, everyone is coming. We'll talk about our college days, take pictures, and have fun like old times. She pleaded. Hearing her excitement made you miss the old days. You had already spent years in loneliness. Wouldn't it be nice to meet your friends just for one day? Finally, he sighed and agreed. Okay, I'll come. Yes, I can't wait. See you soon. Sarah cheered as you smiled before hanging up the call. Days passed, and soon it was the day of the baby shower. You stood in front of the mirror dressed elegantly in a classic outfit that highlighted your beauty in the most graceful way. Your hair flowed freely, your makeup was simple yet radiant, and your earrings added the perfect. You looked beautiful, almost unrecognizable from the usual quiet and reserved woman you had become. As you stepped down the stairs, Jungkook, who was having breakfast, happened to look up. His spoon stopped mid-air, his eyes locking onto you, his breath hissed as he took in your beauty. Your free hair danced with every step, the light makeup enhancing your natural glow. For a moment he was frozen, unable to take his eyes off you. But then reality hit him. He quickly looked down, pretending to focus on his food. You noticed his reaction but chose to ignore it. Standing beside him, you spoke softly. Jungkook? He gulped and hummed in response, still not looking at you. I'm going to the baby shower now. Will you come with me? You asked hesitantly. My friends are coming with their families, so. There was a brief silence before he replied in his usual cold tone. I have work wine, I cannot come. Your heart sank, but you forced a small nod. Without another word, he got up, picked up his coat, and left for the office, leaving you standing there alone. You let out a heavy sigh, not wanting to let this rejection ruin your mood. Gathering yourself, you stepped outside where the driver was waiting to take you to the venue. As the car moved, you stared out of the window, lost in thought. Your heart ached, but you told yourself not to cry. This was your life now, and you had no choice but to endure it. The baby shower awaited, but your mind remained with the man who refused to love you. As soon as your car halted in front of the grand venue, you took a deep breath. The entrance was decorated beautifully with pink and white balloons, and a big banner read, Welcome to Gia's baby shower. Your heart felt heavy. Jungkook should have been here with you. You sighed and stepped out of the car, adjusting your elegant dress. Just then you felt a light tap on your shoulder. Wine? You turned around and found Sarah smiling brightly at you. Her warm, familiar presence immediately lifted your mood. Sarah, you greeted her with equal enthusiasm, and the two of you hugged tightly. It's been so long, Sarah said excitedly, pulling back to look at you. You look stunning. You too, you complimented her, then your eyes fell on the man standing beside her, holding a little boy in his arms. Sarah noticed your gaze and quickly introduced them. Oh, this is my husband Nino, and this little troublemaker here is our son Juni. Nino gave you a polite nod. Nice to finally meet you, Wine. Sarah talks about you a lot. He smiled warmly. Nice to meet you too. And Juni, you're such a handsome boy. You gently pinched the child's chubby cheek, making him giggle. Sarah then looked around and asked, Where is your husband, Jungkook? You hesitated for a second before answering. He's busy with work. He couldn't make it. Sarah's face fell slightly. Alright, he's the CEO after all. He must have a hectic schedule. You forced a small smile. Yeah, he's always busy. Sarah placed a comforting hand on your shoulder. Don't worry, Van, we'll still have lots of fun. She winked, then grabbed your hand and led you inside. Please subscribe to the channel. As soon as you stepped into the venue, a wave of nostalgia hit you. Your old college friends were gathered, chatting and laughing with their husbands and children. Wine? Jia, the mother to be, came rushing toward you, her face glowing with happiness. I'm so glad you made it. You hugged her gently. Of course, Jia. I wouldn't miss this for anything. Congratulations. Thank you, she beamed. Come, meet everyone. One by one, you greeted your old friends and their families. It felt heartwarming yet bittersweet. Jungkook should have been here, standing by your side like all the other husbands. Instead, you were alone as always. Just then, you heard a familiar yet unwelcome voice. Oh my, look who it is. Your body tensed. You turned round and saw Ria, the so called Queen of College. She had always envied you for being the top student, and her arrogance hadn't changed a bit. Sarah greeted her politely. Ria, long time no see. Ria flipped her perfectly styled hair and smirked. Oh, Sarah, you still look the same. Then she turned her sharp face toward you and faked a confused expression. And who is this? She asked, tilting her head dramatically. Sarah frowned. It's Vine. Have you not recognized her? Oh, Vine, Ria gasped, covering her mouth in mock surprise. Wow, I totally didn't recognize you. You have changed so much. You could hear the insincerity dripping from her voice. She hadn't changed at all. Forcing a polite smile, you greeted her. Nice to see you again, Ria. She didn't hug you like the others did, just gave you a fake smile. So, she said, crossing her arms, where is your husband? He's busy with work. You replied simply. Ria scoffed, rolling her eyes. Busy? Oh, he must be a daily laborer then. That's why he's always working. She and her little group burst out into laughter. Sarah clenched her fist, anger evident on her face. She was about to speak up, but you quickly held her hand, stopping her. Taking a deep breath, you looked directly at Ria. You refused to let her get under your skin. What's wrong with daily laborers? You asked calmly. They work hard and earn an honest living. There is nothing wrong with that. Ria's smile faltered slightly, but you weren't done yet. Maybe it's time you change your mindset, Ria, he continued, still behaving like a school bully, even after all these years. It's honestly quite sad. Silence fell over the group. Ria's face turned red with anger and embarrassment, but she couldn't create a scene here, not in front of everyone. Without waiting for her reply, you turned to Sarah. Let's go, Sarah. We have a baby shower to celebrate. Sarah smirked at Ria before linking her arm with yours. You're absolutely right, one. Let's not waste time on negativity. As you walked away, you could feel Ria's burning gaze on your back. She was furious, but she couldn't do anything about it. You sighed softly. Jungkook's absence hurt more than you wanted to admit, but you wouldn't let it ruin the day. This was just a special moment, and you would focus on making it memorable, even if your heart ached for the person who should have been here with you. You sat silently, lost in your thoughts, as your friends continued chatting and laughing around you. The sound of their voices felt distant, like an echo in your ears. You couldn't shake off the lingering pain from Ria's cruel words. Suddenly, Sarah tapped your shoulder, pulling you back to reality. Man, your husband is here. Your eyes widened as you quickly turned your head towards the entrance. There he was, Jungkook, standing tall and handsome in his fitted black suit. His sharp eyes scanned the crowd before they landed on you. For a brief moment, you thought you saw something in his gaze concern, but it was gone as quickly as it appeared. Your heart skipped a beat. He came for you. You instinctively took a step forward, ready to go to him, but before you could, Jia's husband rushed towards Jungkook, greeting him with excitement. Sir, you came. I'm so glad to see you here. Please come in. You halted in your tracks. Sir, so he came for Jia's husband, not for you. Your shoulders dropped slightly as you watched Jia's husband introduce Jungkook to everyone. Everyone, this is John Jungkook, CEO of JK Corporations. Jia's husband announced proudly. Gas filled the room as her friends, including Ria, looked at Jungkook in awe. Their expression changed instantly from smugness to pure shock. You stood still, not moving towards him. Go to your husband. Sarah whispered beside you, nudging you gently. You shook your head and forced a small smile. Sarah gave you a suspicious look but didn't push further. Soon the event continued and your friends started playing fun games. You tried to blend in laughing along, but your heart wasn't in it. Then the host announced a new game. Alright everyone, this next game is for parents. The mother and father have to answer questions about their children's favorite things. Most of your friends eagerly joined, laughing as they talked about their kids. You stayed seated watching from the side. That's when Ria smirked and seized the moment. Oh man, why aren't you joining? She asked loud enough for everyone to hear. Oh wait, you don't have kids, right? You stiffened, feeling all eyes turned to you. Another woman chuckled, playing along. Maybe her labor husband doesn't have time to make her pregnant. The words hit you like a punch to the chest. Your hands clenched in your lap as if felt the sting of humiliation. A lump formed in your throat and your vision blurred with unshed tears. Your so called friends laughed at their cruel joke, unaware of the truth that the man they were mocking never even let you close enough to touch him, let alone share an intimate moment with you. Sarah stood up in anger. Enough. You guys have no right to. Ria cut her off, smirking as she leaned in closer. Come on, Wine, tell us, does your husband not have time for you, or maybe he hates you? She tilted her head. Another girl whispered with fake sympathy. Maybe she is infertile. A sharp, deep voice suddenly roared across the room. Shut up. Everyone flinched and turned towards the source of the voice. Jungkook had shot up from his seat, his jaw clenched tightly, his face trembling with rage. His dark eyes burned with fury as he glared at Rhea and the others. You dirty women! He spat out, his voice dripping with disgust. Silence filled the room. You sat frozen, staring at him in shock. Never in the 2 years of your marriage had you seen Jungkook react this way. He marched towards you, grabbing your wrist and pulling you close to his side. You gasped at the sudden contact. His hand was warm, firm, and for the first time he wasn't pulling away from you. How dare you insult my wife? His voice sharp, like a knife cutting through the thick air. Ria stuttered, her face pale. Your wife? Jungkook's grip tightened around your wrist as he turned to face everyone. Yes, Wayne is my wife, John Jungkook's wife. His voice was laced with pride, and I will not tolerate anyone disrespecting her. You stared at him, your heart racing. Didn't he just defend you? At that moment, Ria's husband entered the room, having stepped outside earlier to take a call. He walked towards Jungkook and quickly bowed. Boss, I didn't know you were here. When did you arrive? Another wave of gas filled the room. Ria's husband working for Jungkook. He wasn't a CEO. Jungkook crossed his arms, his expression unreadable. Why weren't you on security duty today? Realization hit everyone like a storm. Ria, who had spent years acting superior to you, had just been exposed. Her so-called CEO husband was actually working under Jungkook as a security officer. Jungkook turned his gaze back to you. You don't need to be friends with women like this. He looked at Sarah next. Sarah, thank you for being a genuine friend to one. When you have time, come visit us. Sarah beamed. Of course, Jungkook. Jia's husband hurried forward, bowing slightly. I'm so sorry for everything, sir. This was supposed to be a happy event. Jungkook sighed, his expression softening slightly. Jia's baby doesn't need to be surrounded by such negativity. It's better to have a private celebration later. Jia's husband nodded, understanding. Jungkook then grabbed your wrist again and started leading you out of the venue. You barely resisted anything, still in shock over everything that had happened. More than anything, you were shocked at that Jungkook was willingly touching you. His hands trembled slightly, but he didn't let go. You looked up at him as he guided you to the car. your heart pounding. He opened the door for you, waiting for you to step inside before getting in himself. The car ride was silent. You kept stealing glances at him. His jaw was still clenched, and his fingers tapped against his thigh. You wanted to ask him so many things. Why did he come? Why did he touch you? Why did he defend you? But the biggest question in your mind was, did he really mean it when he said you were his wife with such pride? You looked down at your wrist where his warmth still lingered. For the first time in 2 years, Jungkook had finally touched you, and he didn't pull away. You both reached home, the silence between you heavier than ever. As you walked through the living room, you prepared to go upstairs without saying a word, still lost in everything that had happened. But then Jungkook spoke. Why didn't you send the location properly? He asked, his voice serious but not cold. You stopped in your tracks, surprised by his question. Slowly you turned back to look at him. What? I found it hard to get the location, he repeated, looking directly at you. You hesitated before asking, What do you mean? Jungkook took a deep breath, his eyes filled with something you couldn't quite stand. What did you think, that I came for my employee? Your lips parted slightly in shock. Didn't you? He shook his head. No one, he said firmly. I came for you, but I accidentally walked into his baby shower. Your heart pounded as you stared at him in disbelief. Jungkook came for you. He actually came for you. But before you could say anything, you noticed something unusual. His eyes were glistening. Was he holding back tears? Suddenly, Jungkook reached out and held your wrist, his grip tight but trembling. His body began shaking slightly, his breathing uneven. I'm sorry, Van, he whispered, his voice cracking. I'm sorry for hurting you all these days. Because of me, you had to face so many insults today. Your heart clenched at his words, seeing him this vulnerable for the first time. But why? I don't hate you, trust me. I love you. Your breath hissed, your eyes widening in shock. What? Jungkook swallowed hard. I love you, man. I have loved you for 5 years. Your entire body froze. 5 years? You gasped, your voice barely above a whisper. He nodded, a tear slipping down his cheek. Yes, I have been loving you before you even knew me. Your lips trembled. Then why didn't you tell me? Silence filled the air before he finally spoke. His voice was shaky. Because I'm scared of women. Scared? You confused. Jungkook took a deep breath, as if preparing himself. One day I took a train just to see you after knowing you were traveling in it for work. He paused, his hands gripping yours tightly. Then you felt his body tremble even more. Then a woman slapped me. She thought I touched her waist, and suddenly all the women around her started shouting at me, accusing me of being. Your heart dropped. Oh my god, your breath, horrified. I was terrified, Vine. They said horrible things to me. I was helpless, but then one man stepped in. He showed them a video from his phone proving it wasn't me, it was someone behind me. Tears rolled down your cheeks as you listened, your chest aching for him. But even after seeing the proof, no one apologized to me. They just stayed silent as if it never happened. Since that day, I have been scared of being touched by any woman except my mother. Your eyes widened as realization hit you. That's why I never touched you, Juan. That's why I always took a shower after any contact. It wasn't because I hated you. He closed his eyes, his face filled with pain. It was because every time I touched, I remembered those women who accused me without a second thought. You covered your mouth, tears streaming down your face. You had misunderstood him all this time. Why? Jungkook's voice was weak, his tongue dry. He slowly knelt in front of you, his body trembling more than ever. Please, don't leave me. Your heart ached. seeing him like this. Please help me. He whispered, his voice desperate. I want a happy life with you. I want to be normal. I want to love you without any fear. Jungkook collapsed on the floor, his head hanging low. Without thinking, you dropped to your knees and pulled him into a tight hug. Jungkook, you're not alone. I'm here. I will help you. You sobbed. His arms hesitantly wrapped around you. Still trembling, you whispered softly, we'll get through this together, I promise. Jungkook buried his face in your shoulder, finally letting out all emotions he had bottled up. You stepped out of your bathroom, drying your damp hair, when suddenly Jungkook grabbed your wrist and pinned you gently against the wall. His eyes were filled with love and mischief. Shall we try for a second chill? He asked, smirking. Your face turned red instantly, Jungkook. He chuckled, leaning in closer. What? Our first one is already close to 3 years old. Just then a teeny voice interrupted. Appa. You both turned to see your 3 years old daughter running towards Jungkook with her little arms open. Jungkook immediately picked her up, his strong arms wrapping around her securely. Yes, my princess, he asked, smiling brightly. You watched the two of them, your heart swelling with happiness. Who would have thought that the same man who once you stepped closer, wrapping your arms around both Jungkook and your daughter. I love you, you whispered, pressing a soft kiss to his cheek. Jungkook smiled, looking at you with pure love in his eyes. I love you more, man. Thank you for watching.